Welcome to the ultimate 2026 explainer on the economics of altitude. If you're finding a high-altitude adventure this year, maybe mapping out those stunning 16:9 widescreen panoramic shots in your head, well, you're looking at a fundamentally changed landscape. We're giving it to you straight today. No captions, no fluff, just the raw facts. We're breaking down the true, up-to-date costs of trekking in the Himalayas of Nepal versus the Karakoram range of Pakistan. We're going way beyond the glossy travel brochures to look at the hard data, the new regulations, and the actual dollars and cents it takes to pull off these massive expeditions in 2026. Grab your notebooks, because the financial reality of the mountains, it is seriously shifted.
So, the new Nepal. You've probably heard this phrase buzzing around mountaineering circles recently, right? Pakistan's Gilgit-Baltistan region is officially earning massive hype, with adventurers everywhere slapping that label on it. And honestly, it's easy to see why. The Karakoram range offers these incredibly raw, wild landscapes, places like K2, Broad Peak, the Trango Towers, and it's all on this next-level scale with historically lower permit costs. But does this title actually hold up for the average trekker? Let's look at the baseline realities of the current market.
Which brings us to the big question. Is Nepal really still the king of budget trekking in 2026? For decades, Nepal was the undisputed champion of accessible, budget-friendly mountain trekking. It was a no-brainer. But the reality today is that trekking there is no longer just about scoring a cheap flight and tossing a few bucks for a teahouse bed. The baseline has completely evolved. Permit costs, new local regulations, and mandatory requirements, they've become a very real, very substantial part of your budget. So we have to figure out if Nepal's legendary budget reputation can survive its own rising popularity.
$15,000. Yep, you heard me right. That is the staggering, brand new 2026 permit cost just to climb Mount Everest. Talk about a price tag. But the financial hurdle isn't even the only barrier here. In a massive rule change aimed at cutting down on inexperienced climbers and, dangerous crowding, Nepal now dictates that before you even apply for that Everest permit, you must have already summited a different 7,000-meter peak within Nepal. Actually, scratch that, it's not just a rule change, it's a massive barrier to entry. They are actively raising the bar, both financially and experientially.
And the rule changes absolutely do not stop at the summit. Nepal is aggressively tackling the very real issues of crowding and garbage on its trails. So say goodbye to the old refundable $4,000 trash deposit. If you were hoping to get that money back by responsibly packing out your candy wrappers, yeah, you're out of luck. In 2026, it's been replaced entirely by a flat, non-refundable cleanup fee. Even side trips are adding up. Want to visit Chitwan National Park? That's now roughly $15 per person per day. The days of loose, infinitely cheap exploration in Nepal are being carefully, strictly regulated.
Okay, but the crucial point is how this actually affects your wallet on a standard trek, right? On Nepal's classic routes, the baseline entry remains remarkably accessible. The Annapurna circuit requires 2 permits totaling about $42 for a solo trekker. Everest Base Camp requires local fees totaling roughly $38. That's it. But hop over to Pakistan's K2 Base Camp and wow, it is a completely different story. Between the trekking permit, the national park fee, and the Gilgit-Baltistan adventure fee, you are shelling out somewhere between $500 and $800 just for the right to step foot on the trail. That is wild. But let's flip the script to major high-peak mountaineering, because this is where it becomes brilliantly clear why Pakistan is drawing the elite climbers. While that Everest permit sits at a towering $15,000, a summer permit to climb K2 in Pakistan is a mere $3,500. Think about that for a second. K2 is literally more than 4 times cheaper to climb than Everest. And if you look at other 8,000-meter peaks in Pakistan, they sit at an even lower $2,500. For big peak mountaineers, the financial incentives to shift focus to Pakistan are absolutely massive. All right, let's step away from the permits for a minute and look at the actual day-to-day experience, because this is where the two countries truly diverge. In Nepal, you're tapping into a deeply established tea house culture. You're sleeping in actual beds inside comfortable lodges, you're eating hot, fresh dal bhat, and you're even taking hot showers along the way. It's pretty cozy. Pakistan, on the other hand, is a completely different beast. It's a raw, wild, tent-based glacier expedition. You're out in the biting elements, relying entirely on the rugged gear you lugged with you. So when you pay those rising costs in Nepal, what are you actually buying? Well, you are paying for an immense safety net and unparalleled reliability. Nepal gives you well-marked trails, a massive and highly efficient helicopter rescue infrastructure, and that classic lodge-to-lodge support. You don't even have to carry a tent, and a guide is entirely optional on many of the routes. Plus, because of this incredible infrastructure, a standard bucket list trek like Annapurna can be comfortably knocked out in a shorter 10 to 14-day commitment.
Now, compare that to Pakistan. You legally cannot just show up and start walking to K2 base camp. No way. You are required to hire full expedition support. We're talking mandatory guides, cooks, teams of porters, and even a government liaison officer. The whole shebang. You also need serious four-season gear, think -20°C sleeping bags and heavy-duty crampons. Because you are essentially moving an entire mini-village across a remote glacier, the absolute minimum time commitment stretches out to a grueling 19 to 21 days.
So let's roll all of these logistics into the final bill for a standard mid-range guided package. And honestly, this is what about 95% of trekkers actually do. So these totals are super revealing. In Nepal, a 14-day Annapurna trek, including your permits, guide, food, and lodging, usually lands somewhere between $1,200 and $1,800. But because of that mandatory mini-village you have to hire and supply in Pakistan, a 20-day K2 expedition will run you anywhere from $2,100 to $2,900.
But here is the real kicker. If we break that down to a daily rate, the ultimate financial reality completely shatters a common myth. Despite Pakistan's reputation as the ultimate budget alternative, mostly due to those cheaper high-altitude climbing permits, for the standard trekker, it's actually more expensive. In Nepal, your daily all-in cost on the trail is between $85 and $130. In Pakistan, it's $105 to $145. That means Pakistan is roughly 20% more expensive per day on the trail, and remember, you are on that trail for nearly a week longer.
Oh, and we absolutely can't forget the hidden costs. Logistics in the Karakoram are notoriously unpredictable. Flights from Islamabad to Skardo, which is the main jumping-off point for K2, they cancel constantly due to severe mountain weather. You absolutely must bake a financial and temporal buffer into your plans. Expect to need at least 2 to 3 extra hotel days in Skardo, costing around $40 a night, just in case your flight gets grounded. It's an unavoidable hidden cost of seeking out that pure, raw wilderness.
So what's the final verdict of this explainer? It really comes down to exactly what kind of experience you're trying to buy. Pakistan absolutely earns its new Nepal nickname if you are a big peak mountaineer looking to climb 8,000-meter giants without the monumental price tag of Everest. But for first-time Himalayan trekkers or anyone seeking a budget-friendly lodge-to-lodge experience, Nepal's incredible infrastructure still wins out. In Nepal, your teahouse system keeps daily costs lower. In Pakistan, you are paying a premium for pure untamed wilderness. At the end of the day, both of these incredible regions require a serious investment of time, money, and energy. The data clearly shows that your choice isn't just about finding the cheapest flight anymore. It's about weighing your budget against your personal desire for comfort, safety, and raw adventure. So, looking at the hard numbers for 2026, the reliable infrastructure of Nepal, or the wild, demanding expedition of Pakistan's Karakoram, which Himalayan adventure makes the cut for your budget?